What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Chase channel. I'm your boy, Narrative Chase, and in this video, we are doing another Streamline podcast, episode 108. Now, before we go ahead and get into the meat and the potatoes of the video of this podcast, actually, be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and that notification button to get the best of what we got going on this channel. Plus, it does help fight the YouTube algorithm, which is pretty much kicking everybody's butt. And up until now, I haven't really talked about that, but yeah, so let's go ahead, hit the like, hit the share, hit that notification, know what we got going on, and we'll definitely keep pressing forward. So there's been a lot of stuff that's been going on, and we are going to talk about it. First, let's go ahead and just break down what the video is going to be covering. We're going to be talking about the casting choices that they have for Disney Plus's Daredevil Reborn, who is rumored to be in it, who's not going to be in it. Also, we're going to jump to Robert Eggers' Nosferatu remake that he is doing. We're talking about Dead by Daylight. And of course, we're going to leave off with the subject being Mortal Kombat 12 has been announced. So, guys, without further ado, we are going to jump into the video. Go ahead. About Disney Plus and the Daredevil Reborn series. It's pretty much DOA, but let's go ahead and talk about it. Now, there have been a lot of just talks on the internet about who should be in Daredevil Reborn, who should they bring back, who should they introduce. Now, more importantly, let's go ahead and talk about it. Now, Charlie Cox was a part of the initial Marvel Netflix series deal they had, which included Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Punisher, and the Defenders. And that right there set the precedent for a lot of people when it came to superhero comic book shows and superhero shows and the realism that they can have compared to what we've seen in the Marvel films, which has a bit more flair and creative freedom while subjecting too much comedy. So it's good to see more serious take on it, which is why I like the DCEU, because it's a bit more serious than what we've seen from Marvel. But I digress. When it was said that they had canceled all of those shows instead of actually moving those over, it was pretty heartbreaking for a lot of people because they were such good shows. Now, if anything, the best out of all of them, of course, was Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Daredevil probably him number one spot for most people. But I enjoyed those three the most. I did like the Defenders. Iron Fist, I didn't like the first season, but the second season I thought was much better. The Punisher, I didn't like. I thought the first season was all right, and just the second season just turned to a total crap fest. But when they did say that they were going to bring back Daredevil, especially with Charlie Cox reprising the role, it was a much just hopeful move that many fans of that series and of the character actually was hoping that they'll actually bring back more of the other characters as well. And of course, when they confirmed that Vincent D'Onofrio was actually a part of the MCU while reprising his role as the Kingpin, bring him into the Hawkeye series, and now he's going to reprise his role again in future projects, including this Daredevil series, apparently. That again, it will open up the door for many other characters to come back. Unfortunately, that's not the case. For one, I will say this: John Bernthal as the Punisher, I did like him as the Punisher. I didn't like everything surrounding the character, the writing and stuff. I didn't like the emotional baggage they tried to throw to the character. Just again, I did not like the Punisher. I think the Punisher was probably the weakest one of the series. And what's kind of got me a little worried is because how they watered the character down so much, despite the violence that was in the show and all the female empowerment that was in the show, they actually overtaken the show. And they've already showed that they've watered down Daredevil, and they've even watered down Kingpin to a certain extent. What are they going to do to the Punisher? One of the most violent characters in Marvel. Is it going to be? Is he going to be violent? Is it going to be good? Is there going to be high tension? It's got me worried because Daredevil made an appearance in She-Hulk, and his appearance in She-Hulk was completely trash. His appearance in She-Hulk did not save the show from being garbage. So, I mean, it's pretty much going to be dead on arrival. But do they actually think just bringing back some of the quality actors and some of the popular characters that's going to make this show any good? And then what makes it weird is this supposed to be, I guess, is a part of the multiverse thing where the Netflix versions were one universe, and then you got this version is a different universe. So it's gonna be a little bit more lighthearted. And I'm not. My thing is, I'm not understanding who Disney's gearing this to. Is it for kids? Is it for fans? Is it for the woke mob? Like, honestly, who is going to be watching this? And who in the hell is going to put one of the most violent characters in Marvel into a kid's show like this? That's one of the problems I had with Wolverine when it came to the X-Men films. For as violent, for we did get to see some violence of the character, but Wolverine is a beast. And when he gets in a fight and blood is going to be shed. And you really don't see that in the X-Men films. And I feel like even though we got to see just how gritty, how brutal Daredevil could be, as well as the Punisher in the Netflix series, I doubt we're going to get that. So how watered down are they going to do this guy? Now, I did expect to hear that Karen and Foggy were going to be returning, but apparently they're not. And what makes it weird is because they were the heart and soul of this show. They grounded the character. They gave him much more rounded characterization, their influence and their stories, and how he goes about approaching these difficult situations, both as Daredevil and as Matt Murdock. And they're not even going to be in the show. Now, again, I understand that they try to, I guess they're playing it as this whole multiverse thing, but I think that's just a dumb move. They were much loved characters. In fact, my top 10, I believe both of them actually made the list. Especially Foggy. His character impressed me so much that I was like, I got to put this man on the list. He was definitely top 5. But to see that these two beloved characters won't be coming back for this, at least now, I haven't seen any information regarding them going to be returning. And I think that's just a bad move on their part. Another thing that's they've even somewhat rumored that maybe Luke Cage is going to return. And I don't think that's the case. I really don't. Jessica Jones was a highly popular, and she along with Daredevil helped push it and make it pretty popular. And to see that she's not even going to be in there, like, what would be the point of Luke Cage being in the damn? And I would love Mike Colt as Luke Cage. He was perfect for the role. But I don't think they're going to do it. I think it's just speculation on the internet. I think it's a bad move that they don't bring back these characters. I think I from day one thought it was an exceptionally just dumb move to say that these characters do not exist in the same universe when they perfectly fit into it. And it could have actually opened up more potential for more movies and different series. Like this whole Daredevil Reborn wouldn't be a Daredevil Reborn. It could have been just Defenders series or Heroes for Hire series. But this and they could have teamed up with Spider-Man. They could have been in the Spider-Man No Way Home. Oh, I'm sorry. Matt Murdock was in Spider-Man No Way Home. So do you see? It's just a bunch of missed opportunities. Like I said, Daredevil Reborn is DOA, and the fact and the fact that some of these beloved characters aren't going to be returning. They got like the quote unquote main characters, because usually when you think of Daredevil, in the comics, you think of Elektra, Bullseye, Kingpin, Punisher. You don't really think of these other characters. You don't think about Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Foggy, Karen, the news reporter guy. You don't really think of any of those characters. And then another thing that's kind of got me interested to see, even though I'm terribly, I don't want to see it, is Daredevil crossed over into She-Hulk. So will She-Hulk cross back over into Daredevil? Interesting. Pretty freaking interesting. So unless I get some definitive that, and honestly, like I said, I like the Punisher. I would rather them said Elektra was going to come back, not the Punisher. Not the Punisher. So so I'm not sure what they're going to do with this Disney Plus Daredevil Reborn. They've already butchered the character in She-Hulk, and I don't think that it's going to get any better. That's why a lot of the shows now that they've had ain't doing too well. They're not doing well at all. And I think this whole Daredevil Reborn is pretty much just nostalgia. It's gonna, maybe the first episode will jump off pretty good. Maybe the second episode after that is just gonna fall because the whole woke crap is gonna be in it. Characters that are expected to be in it that help give it depth and help just make it an enjoyable experience. And that's just a thing. That's one important thing that I don't think that Disney recognizes, is that Daredevil wasn't a popular show simply because of Matt Murdock's character and the Kingpin. There was a really good supporting cast, and that supporting cast definitely made that show what it was. And right now, I think they're just focusing too much on the heavy hitters. That's why you only hear them say they're going to bring back the Kingpin. You heard them say they're going to bring back Punisher, but you're not going to see them bring back the core characters of the show or much of the supporting cast. Now, I did hear that Vincent, the Kingpin's wife, was going to return, but she was going to be recast, which I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't got really particular thoughts on that. I thought the woman in the actual Daredevil series did an exceptional job with the character, and I would have liked to have seen more had the series continued. But it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, moving on to our second topic. We have the new Nosferatu film that's coming out by director Robert Eggers. Now, I hadn't really heard of this cat before, but didn't realize I've actually seen a couple of his movies. And my hope for the Nosferatu film has, at least his direction of it, is going to be a bit complicated, because there was a movie called The Witch that came out in 2015, and I did not like this film. I thought it had potential. I thought it looked exceptionally well, but the problem was the film had this really weird, surreal, art, new age, artistic thing to it, to where things happen but they don't happen, and then when things do happen, there's no sense behind it. Characters make questionable decisions, and things aren't explained. Well, anyways, I didn't ultimately didn't like the movie. Like I said, I thought the dialogue and the acting was good. I thought the way the movie was shot, was the practical effects, all of that stuff was good. It's just ultimately I just didn't like the writing, and I didn't really like the direction of the film. And then he ended up coming out with a film called The Lighthouse, which has stars Willem Dafoe and the guy that played Batman, can't think of it, Robert Pattinson. And I hadn't watched the film. I heard it was gross, but I also heard that it was a bit of a mixed bag. You got some people that say it's one of the best films, and it also has that weird artistic flair to it. Um, that people this new age stuff seems to be gearing towards. I see that with a lot of Blumhouse films too, but But then you got the other half that says one of the worst films. So I'm not sure where to rate that, but I did. And then, of course, I believe it was either last year or the year before, The Northman came out, and that movie completely killed. So, and it had critical acclaim. People love it. Critics loved it. Uh, the regular people loved it. Just all around. I mean, woke people didn't, but those weird woke or extremist folks, they didn't. But pretty much, it was a really, really popular film. It was a really good film. I regret not even watching it yet because I haven't seen it. If I had a chance, I will watch it though. So I'm on the fence because this man's track record, he hasn't done much, but these are pretty much the ones that he has done, directed at least. And it's, I don't know if he's going to be taking notes. Hopefully, I can already see Nosferatu being somewhat of this surreal, new age, artistic, I don't know, cornucopia of just weirdness. I could kind of see the film kind of heading that way because Count Orlok is basically just a weird version of Count Dracula, and you know, there his image in media has been there, but it's been there since I want to say the 50s with the silent films, which I think is before that actually. So if I got the timer, the dates wrong, excuse me. But and it's interesting seeing a character like this being brought into the modern day, and I'm interested to see if they can do that. Now they did do a film, I think it's called The Shadow of the Vampire, that had Willem Dafoe in it, and although I have not watched it, that is one of the more clearer, or probably one of the few remakes or interpretations of the character that's been brought to modern day, which it was made probably about 10, 15 years ago. It was somewhere around it. It was made in either the late 2000s. I think it's in the 2000 range. And they had another one, but I hadn't seen that one either. So I think a Nosferatu film is actually a pretty good idea. I heard they were going towards doing a Frankenstein film as well, but that's neither here nor there. But anyways, my thing is I'm interested to see. And then what makes me actually interested to see the film is who they got to play as the lead character, Count Orlok or Nosferatu, and that is Bill Skarsgård. And ever since this cat came in on the scene after his performance in Hemlock Grove, this man has just continued to just build his career as an actor in some really, really good films, television shows. He was in Castle Rock television series. He played Pennywise, the dancing clown, in the It remake. He's in John Wick 4. He was in Barbarian. He was in, what is the film? The Devil All the Time. Like, this man has range. He's shown that he can be that basically I've been just a fan of this man since Hemlock Grove. Not and he's good with playing creepy characters. So it would be nice to see his interpretation of Count Orlok. And another impressive thing besides the lead is also just the casting that they've had. Now there's most of the cast I do know of, but some I'm not so sure I haven't heard of, like Aaron Taylor Johnson. Um I've loved this guy's since he was in Kick Ass, and I've really enjoyed his films. I just recently watched Bullet Train. He did a fantastic job in that film. Um, Lily Rose Depp, who is Johnny Depp's daughter. I didn't know he had kids, or at least I hadn't seen any. I hadn't heard or seen him being pushed out into the public as actors or anything like that. But it's nice to see that his daughter's acting. And she seemed like she's been in a couple of things too. Nicholas Holt is one of my favorite actors. And it's interesting because this year, I believe, he's supposed to be playing in a film with Nicolas Cage as Renfield to Dracula. So he's going to turn around and play in one film with Dracula, then turn around and play another vampire film, be with Nosferatu. I think that's actually a pretty interesting dynamic. And then bringing up Willem Dafoe, he's going to be in this. So that means that he's going to be in two incarnations of the Nosferatu uh, um, and not Nosferatu Media. I think that's actually pretty interesting. Emma Corrin, I'm not sure who that is. Simon McBurney and Ralph Ineson, which I think I've seen him in a couple of films, but he just hadn't made any of my favorites lists. But anyways, basically saying I think Nosferatu is an interesting character, and I'm glad they are giving him a bit of life. And I'm rooting for Robert Eggers to prove me wrong, because basically he's pretty much batting average in terms of quality as a director. And this would be an interesting take on the character. And it'd be nice to see if he can bring something old and then make it new. And I'm also interested, it was during the silent film era. So is he going to incorporate any of that into the film? I think a stylish director and a talented director with a good eye can incorporate some elements of the silent film into this and make it its own. And also another interesting aspect is it going to be black and white? Because I know black and white doesn't always translate well to the big screen nowadays, and people really aren't a fan of it like that. But I think, again, a talented enough director can create a film that utilizes those certain elements and make them work. So I'm on the train for it. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with it. I'm interested in the direction. Honestly, I need to go back and go watch the original as well as the two remakes. If this doesn't, I'm not sure if there's two remakes, but I think it's two remakes. Um, but anyways, we'll see how they're going to go. We are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back, guys. Creeping with the soft shell, my alerts. Creeping with the hunter, my alerts. Creeping with the razor claw, my alerts. Get in deep with the my alerts. Creeping with the soft shell, my alerts. Creeping with the hunter, my alerts. Creeping with the razor claw, my alerts. Get in deep with the my alerts. Get in deep with the my alerts. For any who enter our turf, the blood surf, no search. Clamp of the claws, the blood spurts. When we lurks, burst from the dirt, we shock nerves. Bullets bounce off my shell, I give them hell. Wander through the marsh, dead men tell, no tales. Visit Far Harbor, ship set, no sails. Hands flare, get to rep the alert, cartel. We breathe underwater and burrow under the ground. These rags not a problem, tainted 47 meters down. Come around our habitat, no one's gonna challenge that. Flooded facility, we inhabit that. In this water's waist, deep your sheep to the slaughter. Gonna choke you to sleep while you're waiting in the water. Before you drown, my claws will rip your heart out. The sides on my shell say I got that hard cloud. Unclays that blood rage, red eyes with carapace. Outrage, blood safe, disappear without a trace. Just proficient on the land when I tend to catch things. Cut you into pieces and feed you to the hatchlings. Creeping with the soft shell, my alerts. Creeping with the hunter, my alerts. Creeping with the razor claw, my alerts. Get in deep with the my alerts. Creeping with the soft shell, my alerts. Creeping with the hunter, my alerts. Creeping with the razor claw, my alerts. Get in deep with the my alerts.
Get in deep with the my alert queen, crustacean leader of the lurk regime, fleecing the fatigues. I got my own legion, getting mischievous. I'll send the Marines in. Lady of the lake, creature from the Black Lagoon, from the murky waters, teacher from the trap platoon. Got the killer instinct to murder rap you. Vice grip, close trap you, no hands still clap you. Got the kill class to thrill y'all before I kill y'all. Send ripples to the surface, aqua boy skill raw. But it ain't a thing to me, I stay my lurking. Ain't a my lurking without a my lurk queen.
All right, guys, we are back. Let's go ahead and get into this bad boy with our next topic. We are going to be talking about the Dead by Daylight movie that's being in development. I am really, really interested to see what they're going to do with this because they're doing better and better with video game adapted films, and this one isn't exactly. This one isn't going to be like Tomb Raider. This one ain't going to be like Sonic the Hedgehog. This isn't going to be like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or Dead or Alive or Uncharted. This is going to be a whole thing in itself because Dead by Daylight is one of those games that it doesn't it's fun. It's one of those games that is fun because of the multiplayer aspect, not necessarily because of how deep the story and gameplay is. Now, I'm not to say it's not doesn't have good gameplay, but there's a difference between playing this game and playing like Horizon Zero Dawn, Ghost of Tsushima, Tomb Raider. It's an arena game, which doesn't make it automatically bad. It's just a different type of game, but Dead by Daylight in itself actually is a pretty interesting idea. Now, I'm going to say this. This is just basically a better version of the Friday the 13th video game because that game came out before, and due to just bad decisions, bad programming, just bad a lot of things, the game during its initial launch was good, but then it quickly fell off, which is the reason why that game isn't being played now, but Dead by Daylight is. It took the formula and did it better, and it did it better in terms of gameplay and diversity of gameplay, which is why with all of these villains that you see that are in the game. Now, I've played Dead by Daylight. I have enjoyed it. It's definitely a bit funner with people that you know because y'all can team up and do strategies and stuff like that. And I do think that the lore is pretty interesting. It features some mainstream villains and creatures and stuff like that, while also coming with their own original ones, which I've always appreciated. Stuff like that. That's why I like Resident Evil. That's why I like Silent Hill because they do have their own original uh, villains and villain creatures and super villains and stuff like that to antagonistic forces that are within the game. Like I said, the game itself is actually has an interesting idea. And this would definitely be a movie that I think could actually work, but I could also see a lot of why it wouldn't work because a film, Dead by Daylight has a very, very B movie feel to it, which was featured in the Friday the 13th. And if you look at the Friday the 13th films, they're all really B movies. And the premise itself of these people having to try to get the evade and to escape a killer, whether that killer is human, superhuman, or just a monster or a ghost or just some just malevolent force that just wants to kill them. What kind of worries me about Dead by Daylight is I think that to transition over into live action or film like that, I think it couldn't just rely on that formula because in the game you're the character, so you don't want the killer to kill you. But if you're watching the film, you gotta want to care about the characters. Unfortunately, in the game, they don't give you time. They don't give you the ability to care about the characters like that. Yes, you might read up on some bios, but it's the difference between playing a Walking Dead game and then just turn around playing something like this. Because at least in the Walking Dead game, you get to know the characters, you get to care about the characters, you get to work with the characters. And then this one, which is one of the problems with games like this, is like if you're going to make a transition of this to the movie, you actually have to make the people care about the characters. And yes, it'd be cool for them. And that's one of the things I love about media like this because I like fiction because I like seeing normal humans deal with situations like this. And when they do overcome them, and I think I speak for a lot of people too, when you see regular humans overcome these situations, these type of antagonistic forces, it gives you a different perspective of the human ingenuity, resourcefulness, cleverness, intelligence, perseverance. It spotlights those things, and it's and in the gameplay you can kind of see that too. Be how players team up, making these very elaborate plans to get themselves out there working together against these forces, or particularly against the character that's trying to kill them. But how would that actually transition well over into the movies? Would they give us time to actually learn about the characters? Because situations like this, like I would say, like Friday the 13th, it's close to this. Basically, Friday the 13th films is basically Dead by Daylight, if you want to go by that route. The people running around Camp Crystal Lake is the playground, so Jason is doing his thing. But will we care about the characters? I think that'll be the biggest problem I have with this film, is will they give us enough time to care about the characters, to root for the characters and not the creatures? I mean, it'd be nice to see the creatures, but you want the characters to survive. So are they going to go the B movie route with it? Because I remember, I think I did read something about that. It's going to have somewhat, it's like somewhat harkening back to some of the B movies, which isn't a bad thing. But the B movies have a lot of problems, and if you want this movie to be successful, you can't really replicate those problems. So my thing is, are they going to do the characters justice? Are they going to be characters from the games, and they're just going to flesh them out a bit more, or are they going to be original characters? So it's like watching Saw. A lot of times you sit here and you watch a Saw, you really don't get the crux of who these characters are until well into the games have already started. In which pretty much Saw makes everybody seem like a piece of crap, even though and the characters do tend to make dumb decisions, which I hope this film doesn't do that. So let's get into a bit more detail. The game company that developed Dead by Daylight is going to be reportedly collaborating with Atomic Monster and Blumhouse. Now, for those who don't know, Atomic Monster was created by James Wan, who did a lot of really good work, specifically in horror. Some of his more notable projects have been, he directed Malignant, Dead Silence, which I did like Dead Silence. I hadn't seen Malignant yet, but I've seen some stuff on the internet. It looks really cool. Some of the Saw films. He did he's did Insidious, and he's also done The Conjuring. So James Wan is not a stranger to horror. And then Blumhouse, of course, Blumhouse has done horror. Happy Death Day, which I really enjoyed. The Purge, I thought was okay. Characters just making dumb decisions. Get Out, good film. Not saying they produced it, but they had some involvement in the development of it. The Black Phone, which I really enjoyed, and the Invisible Man, which another one I really enjoyed. So right now, the people that are behind this movie being developed actually have got a lot of good talent around them. Blumhouse, which sometimes they're a bit hit and miss, but for the most part, I like their stuff. And James Wan being on the scene with Atomic Monster, I don't think they can go wrong. I mean, I'm sure they can, but this is just too much good talent around them to make just a bad movie overall. So Dead by Daylight is one of them. Dead by Daylight at this point is like Five Nights at Freddy. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with it. I'm interested to see if they got the chops, the talent, to make a good quality horror movie based on the game and make it actually pretty cool. So I'm for Dead by Daylight, I'm interested. I'm actually pretty interested. Now I don't know the characters like that, the villains like that in the game, so I can't be like, well, I want to see the nurse, or I mean, I know, I got the name The Nurse, but because it's called The Nurse, and I'm not sure if that's the nurse originally for the game or the nurse that's from Silent Hill. I'm not sure. But like I said, I played it, but I'm not like a huge fan. So I don't know all of the creatures. I don't even know most of them. Usually I would actually sit down and read their bios and stuff like that. And I did a while back, but I don't remember. So we'll just see what they got. When they drop some more news about who they got cast to direct it, what creatures or killers they're going to have, we'll come back. We'll circle back and we'll talk about it. All right, let's go now to our final topic. Number 4, Mortal Kombat 12 has finally been announced, and it's going to drop this year, I believe. reportedly. Now, Mortal Kombat has been on an upward trend since the 2011 reboot. That game, Mortal Kombat 9, was badass. Mortal Kombat 10 came out, upped up this game once again, badass. Mortal Kombat 11 dropped, upped up the game once again, badass. And they even had the Mortal Kombat Aftermath DLC, which was freaking awesome. And we need DLC like that more often, which is why I do say when it comes to fighting games, Mortal Kombat definitely, along with possibly Injustice, but Mortal Kombat has definitely upped this game up with fighting games. I don't think there's any other game at this point that compare in terms of content when it comes to fighting games. Because usually when I play Street Fighter, I'm not playing the story mode because they really ain't. They got the arcade mode, but it's not like a story mode. Maybe that's changed in the more recent games, but that I've heard of. DLC, being able to customize your characters, uh, fighting the robots, the different fighting modes. You don't really get that in any other game like that. But Mortal Kombat is definitely capitalized on the customization and basically giving players options. And like I said, that DLC on point. You can't. The DLC was just good enough to be a game itself. I'm glad that it was actually DLC because it wasn't that long, but it was still pretty freaking fun, and it did add to the story. So I was wondering, okay, the way it left off, where they're going to go with Mortal Kombat? Are they going to continue with the main story? They're going to go down the side story, and there's not really been much of nothing that come out about it except outside the fact that it's been announced. Which okay, cool. I'm glad they're keeping things under wrap. I do not want them to return the formula. I don't. I don't want them to bring back Shang Tsung. I don't want them to bring back Quan Chi. I don't want them to bring back Sindel. I don't want them to bring back Shao Kahn. I don't want them to bring back any of the characters that they've had. Chronica, um, and Chronica Son, the weak ass dude that I've never liked. I can't remember his freaking name now. Chinook. I always hated Chinook. Chinook was always just a weak character to me. Shang Tsung was, and Quan Chi was a much more intimidating character to me than Chinook was. But I personally would like for them to bring Onaga. I want Onaga to be the villain. I want Onaga to be a villain, and I want them to make an original character to be a villain as well. Because Chronica, I think she's one of the better villains that's in the series, and she's an original because of Mortal Kombat 11. So, in terms of antagonists, I do want, and of course, people want to know who like the characters that they should bring back, and I have a couple of characters that wouldn't mind them bringing back. Of course, let's talk about it. Mortal Kombat 12 should bring back Scarlet because she did have a small role in 11, but I want her to have a much more fleshed out role. Chameleon, which is another of reptile species, and I want that character to be fleshed out a bit better. Ashra, who is something of she looks like Raiden, but she's a demon. Havoc, agent of the Chaos Realm, which they should definitely do more with the Chaos Realm. I hope they do that in this game, explore kind of the other realms, because usually you got Earth Realm, you've got Outworld, then you got the Nether Realm, and that's it. That's all they ever talk about. So having someone come from the Chaos Realm, have that character, I wouldn't mind there being a villain from the Chaos Realm show up. I think that'll be interesting. Maybe something that's going to throw all of the realms into chaos. Why not go that route? I think that'll be interesting. Kintaro, who is mentioned, I wouldn't mind seeing him return. Lee May, who is an agent of Onaga. Again, which would go back to me saying I wouldn't mind seeing Onaga return. Moloch, who is I believe an ogre, and I think why not bring his character back? Natara, who is the vampire. I would like to see her character. I liked her in Armageddon, and she was in the Mortal Kombat 2021 film. But I want to see her. I want them to bring her character back. I think she's an interesting character. that could be fleshed out a bit more. We got Reiko, who is the agent of the Black Dragon, along with Kano. And it'd be nice to see them make a bit of a comeback. Serena, I cannot remember what her story was. I did like her character. I thought she was an interesting character, but for some reason, I'm drawing a blank with it. How embarrassing! And of course, Tanya. Tanya was in, I believe, Mortal Kombat 11, and she's one of the ninja chicks that you see along with Jade and Melina and Katana. So, and she had a bit of a spy role, and it's either Mortal Kombat 11 or she was in 12. I think it was 11. Like I want to see her character come back, you know. But MK11, I'm hyped for. I'm definitely hyped to play the game. I think it's going to be an awesome game. I still want my character creator. I don't give a damn. I get that they're trying to give us move sets. Like, okay, in Mortal Kombat 2011, which was Mortal Kombat 9, okay, it was good that we got to utilize these characters in a much more refined combat style, which was good. And then when they had Mortal Kombat 11, each character had 3 different fighting styles, utilizing weapons and their special abilities to create more diverse combat, which was a good, not bad. Mortal Kombat 11 introduced where you can customize their fighting ability. So you can, like, for instance, with Katana, you can have it to where she utilized more fan combat than with her special attacks, which Katana is one of my favorite characters. So I'm sorry, I'm spoiled by Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Y'all need to give me the character creator mode. Create the character full on. Let me choose how they're gonna do low kicks, low punches, high kicks, high punches, what attacks I can use. I need that, and I'd be able to customize the way they look. Maybe having a Borg like smoking them, or a ninja like Scorpion, or the female ninja like Jade. You know, yeah, they need to hook me up. They need a Shaolin character, or have a special forces character like Jax or Sonya. Like there is lot, a, a lot of ways it can go with a Mortal Kombat 12. But this is 3 things that I do want to see. I do want to see a good fleshed out story without having to backtrack on the previous stories. I would like to see Onaga and a lot of these more characters, a lot of supporting characters from the previous games that might not had a big impact, and some of these characters which you hadn't known. A lot of these characters, or most of these characters, actually came from Mortal Kombat Armageddon's character roster. I would like to see them being brought to the forefront, and I would like to have my character creator. Those are 3 things I'm asking for. But we will see. We will see. And hopefully it'll be a good game, because like the last 3 games have been just awesome. But that's all the time we have today, guys. I know I've been rambling here and there, but there's a lot of interesting things that I wanted to talk about. And there's a lot of room to get to know more of what's going on with these. Going down the list, once again, I did talk about the Disney Plus Daredevil Reborn series, and a lot of the casting that's been rumored, it has been official. As well as the Nosferatu film that's going to be directed by Robert Eggers. My ideas and thoughts of it, both from the old perspective and the new perspective, as well as the casting that they did have. Also, the Dead by Daylight movie, who's going to be working on it, and what's some of the possible ways that it could be a good film, and what's some possible ways it could be a bad film. And then also talked about Mortal Kombat 12, things that I wanted to see, some news, which really not that much news that I came across, but some characters that could be brought into the game, as well as some gameplay elements and story elements that could still be there. So be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and that notification button. Get the best we got going on this channel. And in the comment section below, let us know what are your thoughts about these subjects. Me specifically, I would say, who, in terms of the Daredevil Reborn, these 3 questions I'm going to ask. Daredevil Reborn, which other character from the Netflix Marvel series do you want to see be in the series? Also, Dead by Daylight, which killer / monster do you want to see be in the movie? And Mortal Kombat 12, what character do you want to be in the game that weren't in the last in the remakes, more of the older characters of expanded universe? So with that being said, guys, we'll catch you guys later.